Tomorrow, everybody, tomorrow, the world will be basically the same. But Google's releasing some new stuff, so let me tell you what that stuff is. And of course, this is rumors, we don't know for sure, this is all my speculation, and some evidence we have to prove it. So first of all, maybe the announcement of a VR headset. Back at the last keynote, they demoed that the newest version of Android Nougat, that's 7.0, is gonna have some VR stuff built into it, like a way to interact through your phone using a remote and a headset, but they didn't really say who's going to be using this headset or who's making the headset. They just said there's going to be a headset and a remote, but they didn't show us what it looked like. It was all just prototypes. So I'm guessing now, since Nougat is rolling out officially, they're gonna show us their version of that Google headset. And it'll be a lot more like Samsung Gear VR than it is, you know, what they have now, which is just literally cardboard. And you can't do much with that, but hopefully with this, you'll be able to do some more VR stuff with your phone and look, you know, crazy in public. Second thing is Google Home, which they talked about at the last keynote as well. It brings the power of all of Google to your living room or your bedroom or wherever you want it. It's basically an Amazon Echo competitor, and they didn't unveil the release date at the last keynote. They just said it exists, and it's a bit over $100, which might be hard to compete with the Amazon Dot, which is even cheaper than that. Plus, like, I thought we all had Google in our pockets, and if you're a major Fandroid, you have Google on your wrist, so I don't know why you need it to be in dedicated spots in your room where it could just go with you everywhere. Either way, if you're excited for it, they're probably gonna unveil the release date or the product itself tomorrow. And another update for Chromecast, most likely just giving it 4K support. So it does all the things Chromecast already did, but now it's in 4K, which is, you know, great because so many of us have 4K TVs now. It's not catching on like they were hoping it would. But hey, it's an upgrade. I'm guessing it'll be a little bit more expensive, so probably closer to $50 or so. Now that stuff's only kind of just like little interesting. It's not that super exciting. What I find super exciting is the potential release of a new Android tablet. One of Google employees tweeted that Google and Huawei were working together on a 7-inch tablet because Android and tablets have not been, you know, meshing very well. So maybe Huawei knows what they're doing? Maybe? I hope so. Or what's far more interesting, this new tablet could be the launch pad for a new version of operating system Google's been working on called Andromeda. Not sure where they got that name, but Andromeda. A combination OS of Android and Chrome OS that would be built specifically for hybrid tablets and laptops, aka Windows 8. No, not that bad. I think everyone eventually wants to have one single operating system that just works across all platforms. That seems like it's in our future. I just don't think anyone's gotten it right yet, because we all remember Microsoft saying, you know, desktops and mobile, they can all work together, and then bleh, that happened. A lot of people like Windows 10 now, though. It's fine. I just think it's fine now because they made it back to a desktop operating system and made sure the mobile OS was barely even a thought. Like, Windows phones didn't get Windows 10 for a long time after it came out, and it's just because it is literally like the smallest sliver of the smartphone market. It is not bigger than anyone. Whereas maybe Google, who owns the most popular mobile OS in the world, maybe they can think of something a little bit more different and clever that could be applicable. So I think they're gonna run into a bit of trouble given that Android apps already are not really optimized to be on tablets, most of them. So switching to a laptop tablet hybrid might be kind of a big leap given they haven't really smoothed out just tablets yet. And that rumored tablet is 7 inches, which would not make a great laptop. That would be way too small, which by the way, that's smaller than an iPad mini, and the iPad mini has like stopped selling just because people were like, this isn't really that big at all. I can just use my phablet sized phone. So hopefully Andromeda is more of an update for the Chromebook Pixel 2 rather than a standalone tablet that's really, really small. I hope they release something that's more like a Surface Pro and iPad Pro competitor. If it's gonna be an actual tablet laptop hybrid, it should have the real estate space so we can work with it, attach keyboards to it that can give it that hybrid detachable feel. And of course, who knows, maybe they're just demoing the OS and they're not gonna release any kind of hardware for it, and they're just saying, hey, we're working on it, and maybe there's no Andromeda at all. This is all just speculation, which would kind of suck because the last thing I have yet to talk about, which is definitely gonna be there, no question, Google is making their own phones because their Pixel lineup has had so much success. You know, just look at like the Chromebook Pixel, a $1,300 computer that does the same thing as a $200 computer. You need that 16 gigs of RAM to open all those tabs. Or just look at the Google Pixel C, a really small tablet capable of blowing up phone apps to huge proportions and looking ugly and being absolutely no one's favorite tablet. The team that designed those things, and they're awesome because when you knock on them, they tell you their battery life rather than just looking at the screen and finding your notifications and actual percentage. The team that made those is breaking into the smartphone market, and how are they doing it? By making a phone that came out last year. As in, it has some premium smartphone specs that are almost exactly the same as last year's Nexus 6P. And you guys got after me for the iPhone 7 being the same thing. Wait till I read you some of these. Yes, I'm bringing the iPad Pro out so I can tell you all the specs. So the new Pixel phones, Pixel and XL, will have a 1080p display, 5 inches, and a 5.5-inch display that's 2K. 2560 by 1440, both of which are smaller than the Nexus 6P that had 5.7-inch display at the same resolution of 2K, and the Pixel XL and Nexus 6P both have the same milliamp battery life, 3450. No change there. Both the Pixel phones have a 12 megapixel rear-facing camera, just like the 6P, and both have the same front-facing camera at 8 megapixels, the same aperture at f2.0, and the leaked specs for the Pixel have revealed they have a 32 gig option and a 128 gigabyte option, so they're getting rid of the 64 gigabyte option, just like the iPhone did, except not providing a 256 available option. And if it's anything like the 6P, it won't have expandable storage. Let's hope it does. Let me give a list of things that could have made this thing put the iPhone to shame. As of what we know now, the Pixels do not have water resistance. Unlike the 6P, it does not have front-facing stereo speakers. It does not have a dual camera, does not have an iris scanner, does not have modules like the Moto Z, or a removable battery like the LG phones. See, typically when you're unveiling a flagship phone, you want to cover the specs, sure. You want them to be a bit better than last year, that's fine. But you also want to add something that's unique to you. You want to add a feature that no one else has, or at least have a bunch of features that have never been in a single phone before, which is what the iPhone did. Plus, the iPhone has iOS, which is unique to that, as in you can't get it on anything else. Whereas on these Pixel phones, you'll be able to get the Pixel launcher on any Android device, meaning you can't really say the pure OS is a huge reason to buy it. You absolutely want that, just get the Pixel launcher on whatever Android phone. Or just buy last year's 6P, because that's essentially the same thing. And it'll be a lot cheaper. Or they could have made more than 2 colors. Currently, the only leaks we know of, there's black and white. Cool. Hopefully there's some hidden features we don't know about yet that are part of that glass back. That looks really ugly to me. But hey, if you're a Fandroid, you got me on the fact that it still has a headphone jack. Good for you guys. I'll get rid of it next year. So that's what we got to look forward to tomorrow. And no, absolutely no update on Android Wear. In fact, they're pushing that back to next year because absolutely no one is making new Android smartwatches because they'd lose money. No one's buying them. So you have to stick around with Android Wear 1.0 for a while. And if you're curious if I was excited about the Pixel phones, I hope you realize now what's there to be excited about. This phone could have came out last year. Anyway, this is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.